People who have left third world countries for first world countries. What surprised you the most about life in first world countries? There's toilet paper in most public bathrooms. My mom still carries toilet paper in her purse when she comes to visit me and we go out. That's just good sense. Nothing worse than using a public stall and there being no toilet paper. If you get unlucky with the timing of the cleaners, you're screwed. I remember being pulled over for speeding and my uncle who just got here was like, just give him $5 bucks, and I told him that's not how it works here. LOL. Guides for new immigrants to America have hard warnings about bribing police in the USA. Like you will be put on an airplane and sent home. Never allowed in the country again if you do this warnings. I'm from Asia and living in the UK. Was surprised about the social responsibility towards the environment. Rivers were generally clean and well maintained. That and people didn't have bowler hats and no one traveled via horse carriage like the TV said. I'm first gen, but this is what my mom told me. You can get any produce you want here. You can eat summer fruit in the winter time. There was a snowstorm going on outside, but the grocery store still had strawberries and grapes. So where my family is from, the produce available is only the produce in current season. You don't get to eat produce that can't grow where you live or if it isn't in the proper season. We take it for granted, but hey, even in Alsaska you can buy kiwis. How many things are free, like cups, plastic utensils, condiments, matches, napkins? You can go to a gas station and ask for matches and they will give them to you for free. Community dinners, random donuts brought into the office, pizza, random lunches, people offering you free rides, etc, etc. Food banks. So many things are just given to you if you know how to look. Perfectly good couches left on the street, desks, etc. Go to the free section on Craigslist to see what I mean. The whole pick a penny, leave a penny thing blows my mind till today. Free money. Can you imagine that? People are literally leaving money for other people just because of the inconvenience of change. It's mind-boggling. How people can just openly criticize their governments without fear of repercussions. I always thought it was incredible that there were so many late night hosts who would talk crap about politicians and wouldn't be in any danger with the law. If I tried even a fraction of what they said, I'll be having a very interesting time with the police. I know someone in that situation. She's mostly surprised that people actually followed traffic rules, give right of way to peasants, things like that. Yeah, I couldn't believe that people actually stop at the stop sign, especially when no one is on the other sides. Actual addresses. I can just use Google Maps to find a location and have instructions on how to get there. I can even receive mail. Mind-blowing. The amount of food that goes to waste and also how much plastic there is in supermarkets. Everything comes wrapped and only the perfect produce is displayed. Going to a supermarket in general is a whole experience. So many brands, so much variety. Incredible. The most important for me, feeling safe. I can have my phone in my hand by walking down the street. I can walk on my own. At night, I can trust a cop if something happens. People actually stop and help you if you need help. Just feeling like I'm not going to get killed, robbed or raped is great. Yeah, that blows my mind too. I had to ship some equipment from the US to a third world country and the address was something like 100 meters south of Jose's gas station in San Pedro. A lot of my family are blown away by supermarkets. Where they're from, you have to wait in lines for hours to get to the grocery store and there's no guarantee there'll actually be food once you get to the front of the line. On a lighter note, they are also really surprised by how common lawns and yards are and hate them with a passion. According to them, they are useless, take up valuable space, and are far inferior to courtyards. They're useless, take up valuable space. That's actually how they came to be. Rich people would grow grass to show off that they had so much land, they could afford to have useless space. I was living in Ukraine and never traveled abroad before I turned 24. Then I moved to Dubai and lived there for 5+ years. Here are things that amazed me. 1. Was shocked that roads without potholes exist. 2. You can eat any fruits and vegetables without seasonality. 3. Quality of apartments and especially how nice and tidy are common areas before apartments. 4. Loans with low interest rates. 5. Safety. I don't have to hide my phone every time I get into the public transport. 6. People smile back to you. As a Canadian, I can assure you that living in a first world country does not protect you from pothole-infested roads. LMAO. This is going to be an unpopular option on Reddit, but how professional cops are here. In my country they would pull you over for no reason and demand money or beat you. When I went to visit few years ago, my family all had some cash and beers in car because if they get pulled over they can just give them few bucks or a beer and be off the hook. My dad got pulled over and gave them $20. 5 minutes later we drove by and the cops were drinking in the parking lot of a bar at 10 AM. Also, I was shocked that stores were fully stocked and you can get anything whenever without waiting 4 hours in a line. Social safety nets. Canada. Not a huge difference in the services available in a small town versus a big city. How well pets are treated here. Definitely the immense freedom and all the choices you have. Bored? Just go for a walk in the park, the cinema, the museum, the skate park, whatever. No restrictions, no danger, no dirty looks if you're by yourself. Hungry? Go to a cafe and sit there. Call a friend and go to the restaurant, or even just pull out your phone and order delivery. Insane. Something else is the individual freedom and people minding their own business. How everyone rocks their individual style regardless of what other people might think. Where I come from, everyone dresses the same, talks and acts the same, etc. Everyone is constantly wary of each other and expecting the worst. So going to Europe and seeing people with crazy colored hair, trendy revealing clothes, smoking, walking their fancy dogs, riding their bicycles, and young people just hanging out, people smiling to each other and greeting strangers, just enjoying life and being carefree. I felt like I was in a cartoon. Needless to say, I felt really out of place and couldn't believe people actually lived like that. Thanks for writing your comment. Made me more appreciative. Sometimes you forget how good you have it and focus on the negative. My dad was very surprised the military doesn't force you to join or have random groups to kidnap for their own military groups. Also, my cousins were surprised helicopters can be used for things other than weapons. First time I traveled to the UK, I prepared for everything. Vaccinations, local contact numbers, things to do in case of emergencies, backup money in plastic so that I don't get mugged, some home food spices which I assumed won't get in the UK, an electric rice cooker. Thought I had it covered, landed in Heathrow and went to the washroom. That's when I realized I didn't teach myself how to use toilet paper. I was really surprised that the people don't eat as healthy as I did back home. Almost instantly I put on 5 kilograms because my body wasn't used to it. That happened to my parents as well. Suddenly being able to eat out every single meal if you wanted, cheaply and without having to pull strings to get in blew their minds. Bit also made them fat. I've spent some time in West Africa. One thing that surprised me was talking to a very well paid employee of an oil company wanting to move to live in a not so great European country. Since he worked offshore, he'd keep his job but didn't want to live in his home country anymore. When asked about why, I'm an immigrant myself, he asked me when was the last time I had a power cut at home. It would have been well over a decade then. It was an everyday affair for him. Sometimes it's things that we don't even notice. I live in South Africa and we regularly get load shedding. This means the country's power grid cannot supply the electricity demand, so they literally switch off certain areas for 2.5 hours per turn. We have schedules so you know when you have to work around not having power, etc. Not me but my best friend. How much cheaper everything is. iPhones, most popular clothing brands, beauty products, electronics are mostly imported and triple the price in their home country. I lived in a first world country for a short while, and the differences were both subtle and striking. I went as a kid, and the most shocking thing to me was how beautiful everyone was. Back then, their pale skin, light hair and eyes were my beauty standard, which I obviously couldn't fit. LOL. There were so many foods I would never be able to have in India except if I had gone a little far away to a high-class restaurant. One big thing that stood out to me in terms of food differences were all the salads there. I had never had a salad before, as where I live in India, there is no lettuce available and most vegetables have to be cooked to be safe to eat. I had never tasted fresh vegetables. The cleanliness and sanitation too was extremely noteworthy. Outside my campus, the roads are strewn with garbage and rubbish, and the roads are filled with people and they are very loud. We don't have too many traffic lights either. In Australia, the roads were abnormally clean to me, and everything just looked so bright. Also the prevalence of makeup and short clothes. In India, even now I get scared to wear any bottoms that aren't full pants. I now wear more Western clothes, shirt and pants, jeans, and I'm sometimes told how inappropriate they are. I don't wear skirts or shorts outside, and me and all my friends agree that going outside on the streets is terrifying, and we have never been there except with our parents' family. The closest thing I see to makeup here is lipstick and extremely thick and poorly drawn eyeliner, lol, as well as white powder to make their faces fair. To see people in Australia wear short and even skimpy clothes was both shocking and comforting at the same time. I am still young, so these differences aren't super political or well put together. Just what I noticed through the eyes of a child. This is one of the nicest and most interesting replies on the thread. Thanks. 10 years ago I arrived in Australia. The first thing I notice is the smell. It's so fresh. It's nothing like I ever smelt in the first 18 years of my life. It smells like freshly showered, baked, bloomed flowers. I can't even describe it. It smells earthy good. I'm from the Philippines. Not my story, but my HS history teacher once told us he was from a small village in South America. His family was super poor, and whenever he first moved to the United States and saw people of a different race, it shocked him. He was about 8 when they moved, and he said he only saw people that looked like him, so it was surprising when he saw white people, black people, etc., because he just thought everyone looked like him. My friend went to Tanzania with the Peace Corps for a couple years, and the kids she was teaching were apparently very concerned that her pale skin would come off in the shower. The amount of choice in the stores. It's not that my country didn't have most of the same things, but if you wanted a yogurt you had like 1 or 2 choices. Globalization is closing the gap, but it is still where I notice the biggest difference. Look at the shelves in places like the USA. You have to walk down an aisle and you are still looking at different options of the same thing. A lot of it is not even different flavors, just different brands, different packaging, different target audience. Being able to use a cell phone laptop in public and not getting mugged for it. Walking alone and not getting mugged. Just not getting mugged in general. This isn't even a joke. I was once mugged, watched my mugger get mugged just down the street. Then I took my stuff back from the guy that mugged my mugger. Freedom of speech. The freedom that you can raise your voice on any matters without a fear of being arrested, being followed and monitored 24/7, or even worse, beaten to death. Guess where I'm from? I've recently moved to Europe, and what surprised me most was safety. It was surprising for me to see ladies walking alone at night, and I mean late night hours. Another thing was that I'm now able to sleep at night without minding and butthole breaking into my house and beating the crap out of me to steal money I don't keep in my house for safety reasons. They still steal a lot of bicycles here, but I think I can put up with that. I live in the Philippines right now, but I had visited the US before, and here is pretty much all I can think of right now. 1. Literally everything is bigger. The streets, houses, milk is in gallons not liters, onions and tomatoes the size of softballs, serving sizes, and pretty much everything. 2. Here in the Philippines fruits are seasonal, while in America I can have watermelon whenever I want. 3. Slow internet speeds in the Philippines and in America are very different. 4. Guns. 5. Not having to worry about the water company turning off our water because of the near empty dam. 6. The Indian guy from the IRS that kept calling us. 7. Americans and Filipinos have very different ideas of traffic. 8. Places you call the hood or ghetto is something that most Filipinos dream of because houses in those areas are actually decent compared to what we have here. 7. What would take about 30 minutes of driving here could actually take about 2 hours of commuting in the Philippines. The fact houses came complete. I come from Brazil. There the houses come all empty when you buy them. No kitchen, laundry, anything. You have to buy everything. I'm not sure if this has changed or not since I've moved to America a long time ago. Another thing, safety. I almost died twice in Brazil and my mother couldn't use her cell phone or calmly walk out of a bank or even drive with her purse out in the next seat. Everything had to be hidden or you could be robbed or even killed. Whenever I go to Brazil to visit I always get tense and I get panic attacks because of the violence. Also didn't help the fact that I lived in one of the most, if not the most violent state. My spouse still gets anxious because most houses where we live are not concrete. Obligatory not me but my dad. He moved from Central America, El Salvador, to the US when he was a teenager and he says that the one thing that surprised him the most was how much more normalized it was for people to walk out at night in the US. I'm not from a third world country but I spent a few years living in one. One thing that struck me when at home was how empty our streets are. Out in the suburbs where I live you very rarely see people walking about. Over there people were always walking about no matter where in town you were. Fishing as a recreational activity was considered odd behavior. Multi-generational living was the norm. Strangers would say hello to you when you're walking down the street. In China, people usually think only psychopaths say hello with smiley face to a stranger. That's just China. I was in Vietnam. Strangers more than willing to chat, or at least smile. I flew to China, and everyone there treated me like I ran over their dog. Most other Asians just ignored me. Just the first few that come to mind. Houses without fences, windows without bars, cashiers at the bank counting the money openly, being able to use the cell phone at the bank, cars stopping at stop signs, forgetting stuff in a public place and finding it intact the next day. 1. That you don't have to pay a bathroom sentinel to use a poop hole, and that toilet paper is guaranteed to be provided to you. 2. Wearing brand name clothes or speaking a different language isn't a definite making for a kidnapping, theft, shooting. 3. Strangers smile at you and say good morning, hello, and it's supposed to not be creepy but rather polite. 4. You have to apologize for bumping into people when filing through busy intersections and subway stations. 5. You can buy an actual house near a city and it isn't just your family summer home. 6. People can obsessively pretend their dogs are their children and it isn't considered a speculation for mental issues. That is highly unusual behavior, but rather expected. 7. No stray dogs and cats on the streets, and people pay to have mutts or get purebred animals that aren't up to standard even though they are still paying $2,000. I come from Eastern Europe. As a second world country citizen going through a work and travel J1 program to the US flipped my world upside down. How easy it is to earn money, the freedom that money gives you, and everything that comes with it. At the end of the program when I had to get back home I was depressed for months. Getting back to the crap country I was born in, needless to say I participated in the program for a grand total of 6 times, consecutive seasons. Over the span of 4 masters you need to be a full-time student to participate, and I have reached the age limit for the program. That is why I have stopped at 6 times, bought a 2-bedroom apartment with the money just to be clear, I have never done anything illegal or outside the parameters of the program. I am a law-abiding citizen and appreciate the opportunity that the United States has given my country. I will be forever thankful of the broadened horizon that the experience has given me, and the lessening of the burden that life bestows upon me when money is hard to come by and with great effort. While in the United States I have made friends, worked 2-3 jobs, worked over 80 hours a week every week for 16-17 weeks straight, no days off for the whole duration of the program, enjoyed the little time I had left in the week, perfected the art of grilling and drinking Bud Light, made love on top of a Brooklyn loft, proposed on top of the rock, and continuously helped anyone that needed to find housing options for the summer in Newport, Rhode Island. You have heard the phrase death by 1,000 cuts? Well, it is the reverse of that. Everything is a little bit easier and it is the sum of the parts. 1. Water. Turn on a tap and you can drink it. Boiling and filtering water to make it safe to drink and use in cooking takes about an hour each day. 2. Food. You can eat what you want, when you want, not because it is the only thing available or the only thing you trust not to make you sick. 3. Room temperature. It is so much easier to keep your house a comfortable temperature and get a good night's sleep. 4. Travel. You can rely on the fact you can get where you want to go when you want to get there. The infrastructure is reliable. 5. Stability. You won't turn on the world service and find out that there has been a complete change of government overnight and troops are on the street to make sure no one protests. 6. Lack of corruption. As hellish as getting through to a local government department, you can get what needs to be done without bribing anyone. How much of life is centered around working? In Latin America, family comes first. People work to live. They don't live to work. In the US, people will literally uproot themselves from their community and move across the country because their employer told them to. Ugh, the idea of being surrounded by my family is giving me hives. That's the great thing about the US. If your family is full of abusive shitheads, you can pack up and leave and never have to deal with them again if you don't want to. Of course, it might be nice to have a large extended family if they weren't abusive shitheads. Moved from Brazil to England. Good thing. How clean and organized things are. Places just look complete. Streets are well kept and safe. Public transport very reliable. Even the worst governor. Scandals aren't that bad. Things just work and you can trust people. When people get murdered, it makes huge news. Bad thing. People born here not realizing their privilege. Fast fashion? What is that? Buying stuff to wear once. Being afraid to reheat food or eat something one day out of date. Leading to so much food waste. Not looking after the items they have because it's cheap and easy to buy again. It drives me insane the way people treat their belongings. They get ruined so quickly. Consumerist thinking, I guess. You accidentally leave your things behind in restaurants, cafes, and come back, they are still there. And virtually zero petty crimes like robbery and pickpocketing. Super fast internet connection. Running water 24/7. Electricity. Almost no power cuts. I've been here 7 years. Maybe one power cut for 5 minutes. Back home, it was 2-3 hours of power cut on a regular basis. Traffic. So organized and easy to follow. AC heat. At least where I live. For people who are saying the locals are finding problems to occupy themselves, it's true. I call it privilege drunk. You can never truly appreciate things you have if you are born in it. You have to see the dark side to appreciate the nice things. This leads to locals being entitled because privilege is the normal for them. Dang, reminds when we had to wait for Saturday to wash dishes and shower. So I know Mexico may not fall under third world category, but my roommate moved to the States from an area that didn't get electricity till 2012. According to him, an actual native of Mexico, at least his hometown is super underdeveloped. The thing he always tells me is so surprising about the US is the sheer amount of different food. Even when he lived in Mexico City for a while, there was still a ton of food he just never had access to. It blew his mind when he found out we have Chinese, German, Indian, Greek, Thai, and Italian restaurants all with walking distance of our apartments. 24-hour electricity. You don't have to schedule your day around when the power is on off. You can do whatever you want at any time you want. From my grandmother who came here as the communist revolution happened in China. Having a refrigerator, the ability to have food and not have it spoil for a while. With the addition of a refrigerator, pudding. She only had pudding once when visiting a wealth friend in China. Pudding is lit. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.